So on today's episode, we are going to learn all about what core team leadership is, and you're going to hear from a former core team member, Rianna Evans.
Hi.
Welcome to another episode of Youth Ministry Insights. So excited to be here with you today with a new guest. Rianna Evans, as I mentioned, is her name, and she was part of our youth ministry core team leadership since she was in 8th grade all the way through her high school years, so for 5 years. And so today we're going to talk about the different aspects of what core team is, what we did on our leadership for it, and what the leadership is that is involved in it from both a youth minister's perspective and from a youth's perspective, which is going to be Rianna's. So our first thing, the application process. So I'm sure, Rianna, that was probably maybe a little nervous, made you a little nervous in the beginning because it's like 10 pages long. But 5 of those pages are really explaining what core team is, what we expect of our leaders that are in it, and then the actual application itself. So I'm going to let you share about what you remember from the application. Anything?
Yeah, I remember it very vividly because I was very nervous. I got the packet and I went to St. Mary's Catholic School, and Kari had always been involved there with youth group and I had attended, so I was pretty interested in core team. So I took the packet and I filled it out. I talked about it with my mom and she thought it was a great idea. So we had an interview. It was Father Maz, the pastor here at St. Mary's, and Kari. And it was just the 3 of us, and I was so nervous, but they were so calm and welcoming about it. And it was just questions on how I could contribute to core team, what I wanted to get from it, how I could give back. So thankfully I was accepted.
Right.
So
you were, and you were a great asset to our team. And you bring up a great point in that it's what you can contribute, but also about how your faith is involved in your life now. And part of core team is developing their faith, which is the next, aspect of what core team is about. And that is developing the faith of the youth. So they're not only leaders, both in your ministry by their leadership skills, but also about how they're living out their faith and what we can do to be able to foster that and make it stronger. And so core team is really about living out their faith in such a way, both in youth ministry and throughout their everyday lives, 24/7, in school, out of school, at home. And so living out your faith is a really important aspect an important focus on what we put into core team. So what do you remember about living out your faith and how that played into your life over these last 5 years?
So the one thing that stands out most for me is always having core team retreats, and we would have overnight adoration. So each hour during the night, 2 core team members would have to stay with Jesus in the chapel. And that hour, twice a year, that 1 hour, it just really strengthened my relationship with God because it was so sincere and genuine, just me there with Jesus in front of me. And especially with other core team members my age, in high school, just people who are living out the same faith. So that really strengthened it, knowing that I had peers that were interested in the same thing. So those core team retreats, that's really where I got it from.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we always try to incorporate our faith into everything we do. So the retreats itself, of course, naturally lends to incorporating our faith. But even in our monthly meetings, we would start every meeting with the rosary or with the holy hour. In the past, sometimes we've done that. We've also done mass to start off the meeting. So any way we can incorporate our faith into those meetings, we always make sure that that's first. And then we could get down to the different things we need to get to in the meeting, whether it's planning an upcoming event, planning our schedule for the year, whatever it might be. We put the faith first, and then we get to the work, right? So meetings are another aspect of core team. Monthly meetings are important to touch base with the youth, to see how they're doing, to see what's going on in their life, again, to pray together, and also to do the planning. So anything from the meetings you remember?
Yeah, I remember we would always go around the room and talk about what we had done during that month on our faith life and our regular life. So we had the 2, and everyone would always share, and we could like talk about everything that's been going on with everyone, kind of just like a little family reunion every month, like talking about what's going on. And like even if we were struggling with our faith life, we would talk about that too. It wasn't just like, oh well, I did so much this month. It was anything that you wanted to talk about. It was always brought up at core team meetings. So it wasn't just planning what we had to do. It was really like digging deep on how we could grow.
Yeah. And there's always extra perks involved with core team as well. So those leaders are helping out in so many different ways in our youth ministry. The planning meetings incorporated a schedule of events that they were on the schedule for instance, set up and clean up from meetings and leading meetings and helping out with different things around the parish that there were different needs for. So we want to also give them extra perks, things that would make it, well, you know, core team's a lot about the work, but also about things that, what can I get out from it in a good way? So one is these fancy t-shirts, right? We always give you the bright colored shirt. Then later on, if you want to purchase a different color than the bright yellow shirt, you get to then purchase one which it looks like you did. You weren't crazy about the yellow. I like the yellow. Another way is that we've gone on different trips. We've gone zip lining, and we've also have gone in the past ice skating, and more recently we've done a kayaking trip, which I know, Rianna, you've been on several times on the kayaking trip. You like that? Fun? Yeah.
It's fun when I don't flip over. It's a lot of fun.
Makes sense. It is a lot of fun, especially if you stay afloat and not flipping over the water. And then, of course, the retreats are another great perk because who doesn't love going on retreats and just being away with your friends for a set period of time? Our retreats are about 24 hours long at a local Newman house in our diocese. So it's really a blessing to have that space for us to be able to use. And again, that house itself just brings back to our core team leaders, like, this is our second home. This is where we spend a lot of our extra time. An additional perk that could be a draw for youth is that they can gain service hours through being part of core team. And it just kind of naturally happens. But if they are applying for National Honor Society, scholarships, or anywhere else that is in need of service hours, they're going to gain them by attending their core team meetings, by attending the setups, the cleanups, helping out all around our parish with the different needs that are asked of them. And those are just service hours they racked up. Now, I know, Rianna, you were involved in a lot of different things in high school, but National Honor Society was one of them that you were a part of. How did that help you in obtaining the hours that you needed?
So for my high school, we had to have at least 60 hours. So they do it by points. So 60 hours would equal 60 points that we need. And being a youth group, especially with core team, I would help out for cleanup and setup sometimes, just because I liked being there also, but I wanted hours too. And I think by the first month that I had joined the National Honor Society, I was done for points. I didn't need any more. I was done for the year. Yeah. So it was really beneficial. And also, being on core team helped me get the scholarship that our youth group offers here for my high school. So
scholarship winner here.
Thank you.
So it's such a great extra added enticement for the youth, but also a way to develop the service within them, right? The serving others, because we know our Lord came to serve, not to be served. And so in imitation of him, they are serving our church. But it doesn't hurt that it also is going to help them in other areas of their life where they're developing those skills of serving others, such as National Honor Society. And so we really do use that to our advantage to show them, hey, do you want to get service hours? This is an extra way, become a leader. But it's also important to note that we do hold our core team leaders to a higher standard of leadership. And that is both on social media, both in person, both in their high schools. And so if they're acting in a way that is not of the Christian faith, the Catholic faith, according to the teachings of our church, of course, nobody's perfect. We know that. But there are some times where there is accountability held. And so I know, Rianna, you've always been very humble about it. If there was some correction, which for you were near perfect, so there wasn't a lot. But if there was, there's always a time where we need to correct each other. And the youth themselves have corrected each other too. And can you think of any times where that has been helpful to you or you've helped others?
Yeah. If it's just stuff with like social media, even if it's like someone posts something and maybe there's like a curse word in it, like just texting your friend like, hey, like maybe you shouldn't be posting that. Right. Like you have younger kids that follow you. Just little like hiccups like that. That's where like your friends like would come in and they would keep you on track with that. So I know that's been one thing.
Yeah, nothing wrong with good fraternal correction. That's what we are held each other accountable for. So it's really great to develop these young leaders, these high school leaders. I mentioned Rianna was in it since 8th grade, but in the last few years, we've redeveloped our program to be just high schoolers only. And I found that to also be beneficial in our programs. But wherever your core team leaders lie, just develop them in a way that is growing them closer to the Lord, growing them in their faith, but also growing them as an individual. And each individual is going to develop differently, and we need to be mindful of that and help them along their way in developing them where they're at in their faith and in their life. And you're going to see them blossom and grow in their own unique ways, but just continue to foster them and continue to help them grow, again, closer to the Lord and in their faith by touching the hearts and the souls of the youth. God bless.